So this is our 1991 Landcruiser Troopy. We named him Snoop, and we've had him for about 2.5 years. But after the first year, we decided to do a full rebuild and build the Troopy we really wanted. So done a lot of work on it over the past few years, and we've now got a Troopy that we absolutely love and works great for us. So I'll show you around. First of all, the bar work. This is an X-Rocks bar. I used to have a $200 homemade job that was really heavy. The bar itself on its own weighed about 60 kilos, and then plus a winch, it was a lot of weight in the front of the car. So I swapped it for this bar, and it was actually in really bad condition when I got it, but I sanded it back and resprayed it, and it's come up like brand new. The winch, I actually need an offset fair lead for it, but I've got one in the mail. The winch I bought for $300 off a guy on Facebook Marketplace. It's not a carbon winch, it's a worn XD 9000, which I fully rebuilt and replaced everything. I got a new winch controller for it, and I put synthetic rope on it instead of the steel cable. Good little bargain. That was awesome. We love a bargain. So I got the 4-inch Safari Brahmac snorkel. It's sealed awesome, so we don't have to worry about water crossings like we did when we had the old one. No more drowning the Troopy, which is awesome. I've actually got the Kimberley to Cape mounting bracket with this snorkel, which is highly recommend that as well. It's really good. The mirrors, we got the Ochem towing mirrors with the electric, adjustable, and indicators. They're really good. I think they cost me like 450 bucks, and they're really cool. There's controls in the cab for them, which is great too. The rock sliders are made by Elephant Engineering, who are a company out of South Brisbane. So I got those unpainted, and I painted them myself, and had to get these custom made because on the 18Z, the exhaust actually runs on the outside of the chassis, so you can't really just use standard rock sliders. So I had to get these custom made and custom mounts, and they've come up awesome. They're solid as. So roof rack, we got a TJM alloy roof rack. I got that as a bargain on Marketplace as well. Cost me 300 bucks, and I just sprayed it black. We spent a lot of time sanding it back and spraying it black. That was a bit of a pain, but it come up really good. This ladder is actually designed for the other side, but because we got the 270 awning, I had to figure out how to fit it on here, and it kind of fits. Looks a bit wonky, but it works great. These screens are a lifesaver. If you have a Troopy, you need these screens. I think they're made by All Sliding Windows in South Australia. These are actually on the Troopy when we bought it. Probably about the only thing on the Troopy. I've re-screened them and resprayed them. They're awesome, so you can sleep in the back and have the windows open and you don't get eaten to death by mozzies. The rear bar, this is a 4-drive systems bar, and it's been really good for us. It doesn't have bearings, it has nylon bushes instead of bearings, and they're solid as, there's never any movement, and it's heavy duty. So we have both tire carriers, but we only ever use one. We'll put the second one on if we're doing super remote stuff, but this is really good bar. I actually mounted the reverse camera right in the middle of the bar, which come up really good. Up top here, we've got the XTM 270 awning. We went for the cheap awning. I say cheap awning, we got it on special for 400 bucks because we couldn't really justify the 2.5 grand for a freestanding one at this stage. We're not doing a lap right now, so for the amount we use it, this is perfect. $400 is a great buy. Like, if you can get these on special for 400 bucks, absolutely do it because it's awesome. So we got the Ridge Rider gear bag. It's nothing special, but it gets the job done. Underneath, we've got Westralia parabolic suspension. This is a 2-inch lift, and at the moment I've got the 3-leaf pack in there, but originally bought the 4-leaf pack, which is max GVM, because I thought we'd probably need that but it was too stiff. We had a really bad shackle angle, and the ride was pretty terrible, even when we were fully loaded. So I took a leaf out, and the 3-leaf pack is infinitely better. It's comfortable, it flexes good, and it's not sagged too much even with fully loaded. So once this softens up, I'll probably put the 4th leaf back in, and it'll be the perfect setup. So, but yeah, they've been really good. Westralia Parabolics recommended. We've got a TJM Pro locker in the back, which is great. It changed the Troopy off-road totally. It's so capable, and you can crawl everything, so you're not breaking stuff. And I'll be putting a front locker in eventually, but for now, the rear locker is perfect. Oh, it's so good. The shocks I'm running are just cheap Ultima shocks. These ones are actually the 80 series rears, 2-inch. So you get a little bit more drop out of those, which is awesome. And in the back, I've got the 79 series 2-inch rears as well. I've put steel braided brake lines through the whole thing. I did them when I did the brake booster upgrade, and that was a really good upgrade. So I splashed out on shockies before I did the suspension. I had Coney Raids, which were brilliant shocks, and cost a lot of money, but then they were too small once I'd done the lift. So they went on Nicky's ute, and I got the cheap, crappy ones. But they've actually been all right. I don't know how they'll hold up like on serious corrugations, but they've got a decent warranty, and they were pretty cheap. So I just did them for now. They've been good so far. I got dynamic rims with the triangle holes. They're neg 28s, which is a bit random. But yeah, they're really cool. I like those. It's nice to have new rims that aren't rusted and destroyed. We've got the Toyo open country mud terrains, and these are actually a 255 85 16. So they're a skinnier tire, but they're bigger than a 33, which is awesome. We love those tires. They've been really good. Not a single drama, and we've had them on the car for like a year and a half now, so they're brilliant. Originally the Troopy was sandy taupe, and it had a really cool brown stripe on the side, and the paint looked so cool from afar. But after a while, few trips on the beach, like there was a lot of little stone chips, like there was rust starting to come in the gutters. So I wanted this Troopy to be alive for as long as possible. So I bare metaled what I could and did a full respray. We fixed all the rust, as you can see on those videos. It's sprayed with Raptor paint because we do a lot of driving through the bush, and I don't want to be that guy who's crying about the bush pinstriping on a Monday morning. So this is perfect for us. We can drive through the bush and don't care about it. It's fine. It's brilliant. So this is actually sprayed really fine. But it's still really strong and protective. When we sprayed this Troopy, it was actually under a Bunnings gazebo in the rain in southeast Queensland. And when we did the roof, it was really hard to get it done properly. So over time, the paint had faded. So I wanted to protect the roof as much as I could so that I can drive under trees and not worry about it. So I decided to paint it black, which is suicide in North Queensland, but it has been absolutely fine. It's really thick. I rolled it on, which I don't recommend, but it's what I did, and it's absolutely sealed the roof, and it's brilliant. So I love that. I love the black roof, black and sandy taupe. There's no better combination. Under the bonnet, we've got the 1.8 Z. It's got 250,000 Ks on it, so it's pretty much brand new. I did the radiator upgrade to Terrain Tamer HDJ 79, which has been really good. It's a much bigger radiator, it's alloy, and you get a bigger fan, so it stays cool all the time. Even towing the big boat up the range in North Queensland, it stayed pretty cool, so that was awesome. wicked upgrade. Also did the Brahmac brake booster upgrade. This is a dual diaphragm brake booster, similar to the 80 series brake boosters. So that will lock the 33s up on the Troopy, no worries. So that's a really good upgrade if your brakes are crappy. But yeah, I'll show you inside, let's do it. So with the interior, as you can see on the photos and videos, we stripped the whole thing out and repainted everything and freshened the whole thing up. It used to be the poo brown interior, which the Landcruiser is classic for. So we changed it to black and sandy taupe because there's no better combination of colors. All the vinyl was vinyl painted by us with the rattle cans, but it's still holding up pretty good. All the plastics were painted black. The dash was painted sandy taupe. I even did the cluster sandy taupe, which is really cool. We've got the Dometic center console fridge. That's awesome. But we also have our main fridge just behind the seats. So we have easy access to it. That's a 100-litre kick-ass fridge freezer, dual zone, which has been brilliant. We love that fridge. We don't want any other fridge. It's the best. We can load it up and you can have like 2 weeks worth of food and 60 beers in there, which is not bad. So I've got upgraded the radio. I've got a Sony XAV 1000. The reverse cam runs off that as well. I've got dual red arc gauges. One is a dual temp and one is an oil temp and oil pressure. Down here I've got my switch for the compressor and a switch for the locker, and that's just an auxiliary switch. Up top I've got I built a roof console for the speakers to mount in. That's actually, I really wanted a roof console that didn't sit at the height of the visors, which a lot of them sit there and then you mount the visors on and you lose the headroom. So with this, it's mounted above the visors, above the roof. So it's fitted in there nice and tight, and yeah, it's really good. I'm stoked with that. And I put a light in, a touch light. For our auxiliary batteries, we've got two kick-ass 120 amp hours. So we've got 240 amp hours of battery power, and they live behind the passenger seat. I want to sort out better ventilation for those, but for now it's in a good little spot. I'm not really worried about going to lithium yet. Those batteries are fine. They're heavy, but they're good. They work well. Highly recommend the kick-ass stuff. It's really good. So behind the passenger seat, I've actually got the Enerdrive DC to DC charger. So that's our charger for our auxiliary batteries, and I've got a little fuse box mounted there. So it's nice and simple, my electronic setup. I didn't want to have heaps of problems, so I kept it as simple as I can. The Enerdrive unit has been absolutely brilliant. If you can get an Enerdrive unit and mount it in your car and it doesn't need to be out in the weather, I highly recommend them. But you just can't get them wet, so you can't mount them in your engine bay or in outside a canopy. So if you've got the space to mount them in a car, absolutely get one of them. They're 450 bucks and they're wicked. So that's about it for the interior of the front of the cab. So I'll take you around to the back. So this is our second setup that we've built. We figured out what we didn't like from the first one and changed everything about it. So the first one we had was the classic Instagram bench seat and cupboard on this side with the fridge, which was good for a bit, but we soon figured out that we need a full bed to sleep on, because with the heat of Australia, we live in Australia, so we were too close and sticky in the half bed. So we figured out we need a big bed. So that's what we've done with this one. And also, when we were four-wheel driving with the two cabinets on Fraser Island, we had issues where they were breaking off their mounting, and when you're doing like good serious four-wheel driving, it's a bit of a problem. So this setup was we went back to the drawing board and we figured out that this is what we wanted. So we wanted lightweight, full bed, lots of easy storage, easy access. So we built the whole thing around these Dun & Watson units. So this unit on this side is a Canopy Kitchen. It's actually designed for a canopy, which is why it has that lip on the bottom. But we love that because we put our dirty shoes in there. And this is our pantry. So we keep all our food up top in this pantry. There's heaps of room. And then down below, we keep our cooker and all our utensils and stuff. So we can cook on here away from the Troopy, and it works great. So we love this unit. It's absolutely brilliant. So yeah, love that. And then we also have this drawer, which is 1450 mil. So 1.5 meters of drawer space. So have a look at this. We keep all our tools in there. You could stick a dead body in there if you're a backpacker murderer. Camping gear, all our half dirty stuff will go in here. All our heavy stuff too, it's so heavy. So, and then we've got this little alcove above it where we can stick our bags and that sort of stuff. All of this underneath the bed can be lifted up. And so we have our compressor down there, which runs our TJM Pro locker in the rear. And we blow our tires up and stuff with that. So that's really good, very handy. We just wanted it minimalistic, not much to go wrong. The frame is actually built out of this lightweight aluminium. You can get this from Bunnings, any sort of hardware. We bought all the pieces from a aluminium wholesaler, so it was a lot cheaper. Because if you get it from Bunnings, it's called Q block or something like that, and it's pretty expensive. But if you buy it in bulk, you can get it pretty cheap. Basically, you get lengths of this aluminium, and then you get these plastic connectors, and you can sort of build what you want. But this has been really good. I kind of over-engineered it. Everything that is mainly structural is siliconed and riveted together. So it is absolutely solid. I dread the day something happens to one of these sliders in these drawers, because I may have to pull the whole setup out. It is that insanely tight in there. These units were fairly expensive, but the actual framing, the lightweight framing, was fairly cheap, but it just took a lot of sitting down and thinking, and I had a rough idea and I just built it as I went, because I wasn't sure how I could build it, but it worked out in the end. So yeah, we absolutely love this setup. Everything we want in the Troopy for now. Like, it's so good. I think even when we do a lap, it'll be perfect. A lot of people say, oh, you don't have much room on the top, but there's actually heaps of room. Like, we can almost sit up in there. This is a 100 mil mattress, which is really comfy. And then above the fridge, I made it so that the fridge sits up 50 mil. So then I've only got a 50 mil foam above the fridge, so it's easy to lift up, and it's a separate piece. So that's really good. It's super accessible from the front seats. For the roof lining, I actually did a rubber backed carpet that I got from Bunnings. So it's like a really thick rubber on the back of this carpet. So that's actually great heat insulation. We didn't do the car builders on the roof. We just used that, and that's been really, really good. It looks awesome down the front. Down the back's a bit how you going, but down the front's really good. So this is a tap for underbody water tank, which we don't have yet, but I've built this. It's aluminium sheet and a Caravan RV electric tap, which will be plumbed into an underbody water tank, which will be awesome because that'll turn on and off through there, and we can get water out of there. Also did this, because I've done this and because of this setup, I had to relocate the handle for this little door. So originally they have a handle in here, but obviously when you're inside you can't access it. So I actually saw this idea on the Troopy page on Facebook, so that will now open the door, which is awesome. One thing I forgot to mention is we did car builders through the whole thing, so it sounds like a limousine. And if you know these 75s without car builders, they are like a tin can. So we did car builders through the whole thing, all the panels, all the doors, all the floor pans right up to the firewall. So that's been really, really good. So I built this table when we first did the setup. We did our first setup, and that was really good, but we don't actually use it much anymore. So I might utilize that space for something else. That wasn't stolen, it was found, just so you know. But yeah, that's about it for our Troopy. we love it. It's the best. It's the freedom machine. And buying this Troopy was the best thing we ever did. Because before that, we were camping out of my ute, my old Nissan Navara, which we had named the shitbox death trap. It was that lethal. And it was just a crap time, but the Troopy changed everything for us. It made camping a way of life for us. And anyone who has a Troopy knows the feel, knows the same thing. So yeah, that's our Troopy, and hope you enjoyed the video. See you next week.